Well, some of us think we have it difficult on our way to work, say 5:30 in the morning, but you went up a mountain, Bryan Brown.
Yeah.
Tell me about the trip, typically day to day.
When we were in Rwanda, when we were dealing with the guerrillas, which was during a period of a month, we'd leave the tents at about 6:30 in the morning. We'd go for an hour's ride on the bumpiest roads you've ever been on. And at the end of the hour, you got out, your stomach was such a mess, you just wanted to throw up, you felt so bad. Then you would walk for 2.5 hours to the edge of the jungle, up a grade. Then you would walk for an hour into the jungle until a guide came along and said, okay, we know where they are now. And then we'd move off and find them in about half an hour and then start trekking them for about the next 6 hours. Up a mountain all the time. And
you had to be able to set up a shot very quickly.
Very quickly, yeah. You'd have to try, as soon as you had the opportunity, as soon as they stopped, it's very hard to get them, they like eating and moving on. Sometimes they'd eat in one place and you'd start to move around. And usually when they stopped for their rest was your best chance. And they'd usually do that twice a day. Sometimes you wouldn't find them in time to the second stop, which would be 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Just keep tracking with them. But yeah, as soon as they were stopped, as soon as we could get amongst them, out would come the cameras and try and get something. Just in most cases, out you come the camera and you just get set up and they'd start moving again. So you'd pack up and off you go.
It's easy enough to imagine how you would learn all kinds of fear, maybe you'd never known before. But what else did you learn about the guerrillas that maybe is a contrast to stark raving fear of them? Anything?
Well, that's what I went up with. I went up with fear on that first day. I was carrying fear with me. I mean, my conceptions of guerrillas were as ferocious, no matter what everyone said there, but from King Kong movies and from seeing them in zoos behind bars, I could only think of gorillas as ferocious animals. Well, the truth is they aren't ferocious. That's what I learned after that first day, was that they weren't. They weren't aggressive creatures. They weren't creatures that were out to eat me. They don't eat meat. I wasn't prey to them. I didn't threaten them. And as long as I didn't threaten them by grabbing one of their young or attacking one of them, everything was going to be all right.
Can you bring us into close quarters with one verbally? I mean, was the fur rough? Is there an odor?
I don't remember the odor. I don't remember a smell at all, so I don't think they were very, had a strong odor at all, because that doesn't stand out to me. The fur was quite coarsish, hairish, probably, well, I don't know, I was going to say like a horse's tail maybe. It was as thick as that perhaps.
Also in sense of the landscape, contrasting with pictures like Breaker
Black
and
too,
Good Wife.
really
Yes.
dark, really, their faces were dark and big brown eyes. I mean, you'd see deep into their souls. Their faces were extraordinary to look at.
You've had extraordinary luck going all around the world.
Yeah, I've been all around the world.
Is this terrain necessarily the roughest you've ever had to work on?
Yeah, easily, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Nowhere do you do a movie where you walk for 8 hours up a mountain each day before you start work.
What was the toughest thing then by contrast about something like, say, Breaker or Good Wife?
No, it's just the ease of everything else. You go to work and you sort of start straight away. This was, we wouldn't know when we were going to start. We just keep walking until we got an opportunity to start. It was like, I just don't think that you come across situations. Maybe if you're doing some boat type one where you had to be out in the waves a lot and you had to wait for, or you were filming porpoises or something. You had to wait till you got amongst them and searching for them. Same type of thing. Here, the guerrillas were controlling the issue, and until we got to the guerrillas, we couldn't start. Until they gave us something to start work, we couldn't start.
As far as any message about the picture, have you ever had any personal feelings about animals that maybe fed into this at all?
Well, I like animals, I mean, I guess one of the things that does reinforce is that I don't really think when it all boils down, zoos are a good thing, I think. But yet, what do you do as a little kid? Remember that great joy you have as a little kid when you go and see an elephant at the zoo or something. But, when you see them in their natural environments, I mean, you just realise that it's so wrong. It's like birds in cages. It's just wrong.
And then as time goes by and you remember back to that time up in the mountains, what do you think? What comes to mind first, looking back now, in hindsight already?
The fear I had on the first day.
When Bryan Brown goes to work, he really goes to work. We're together here in New York City talking about gorillas in the mist. I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5.
Do the close one more time.
Shall I? Okay.
Please.
If I may, I'll take it from the handshake again, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Talking to Bryan Brown, and when he goes to work, he really goes to work in Gorillas in the Mist. We're both in New York City. I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5.